Good evening, everyone. Meteorologist Jessica Blum here, joining you from the 1011 Now Alert Center. As we talk about your forecast going forward, we are now getting into the warmer parts of the week, finally, after some clouds kept us cool and damp on Wednesday. But we have a lot to look forward to here coming up. So within your weather headlines this Wednesday evening, just past 8 o'clock as you're joining me here February 4th, we do have much warmer temperatures in the forecast for Thursday with more sunshine. We really didn't quite get to the clearing in the skies here in far eastern Nebraska. Central Nebraska did see those clouds erode away through the afternoon, so that did keep us colder today, but we are looking mild for quite some time into the weekend and near record warmth, I think, by next Monday into early next week. So all those details we'll have to talk about here today. Forgive me if you joined me or tried to join me last evening. We did have some audio issues. I'm still working on how that may be fixed because it seems like when you were beginning with me on our stream at night, you couldn't hear anything. But then when I played back the video, as it got later in the stream, I was quiet at times or my audio was at full strength. So very interesting. We may have some background, more equipment issues to be dealing with that we're still kind of working out the kinks as we go on. So bear with me this evening if audio does cut out on me at times. Hopefully I come back and you stick with me and it's fun to just kind of hear me shake my hands and do the nods and all the facial expressions that I can tend to have. But I did want to bring up something this evening. I had kind of hinted at the fact that I was going to work on this map when I really didn't get to make it from our weather graphics, but the National Weather Service out of Hastings has these maps at our disposal. And so I wanted to bring up this map to you, again, from the National Weather Service out of Hastings. It's showing the snow departure or how below average the entire state of Nebraska is for this winter season. And this map was almost mirrored last year at this time, with really the entire state running below average for snow in particular as well. But for snow lovers, this year again has been kind of a downer and a bummer. For me, I love this kind of winter when we're not dealing with a ton of winter weather to travel through. I'm not digging out my car or things like that. But in western Nebraska, it's been a couple years looking like this. Much of the sandhills running at least a foot, if not over 2 feet of snow below average for this season. And we're hoping to get better. We still do have really most of February and much of March. Again, if you remember last year, we had a blizzard last March. We've seen snow as late as May in eastern Nebraska, so things to keep in mind. But this map is very impressive no matter where you look. In southeast Nebraska, we're still running around half a foot, if not more, below average. In the Lincoln area, it's more in that 6 to 8 inch below average range in that lighter tan, but it's hard to kind of decipher some of these colors with the color table, and that's why I took to annotating this map to show you kind of what area is how far off of normal so far this season as of this morning. This map was updated at 6 a.m. You'll see much of northwestern Nebraska is about 20 to 30 inches below normal. I was just out in Sydney visiting some friends, and they had just really kind of seen their last snowfall, or their first snowfall within the last couple weeks. So it has been fairly dry in terms of snowfall throughout this winter season. But as we bring it back to your graphics and talk about what's to come, a lot of warmer weather. There's a lot of things that come up at this time of the year that are right around the corner too. I'm just going to show you this graphic again because I think last night, again, I had audio issues and I couldn't talk you through this. But the Weather Olympics are just 2 days away, starting on Friday. Super Bowl 60, 4 days away on Sunday. Valentine's Day, reminder, if you have yet to get your significant other a gift or a thoughtful gesture, that's coming up in about 10 days. President's Day will be the following Monday after that. Daylight saving time, I know that. There's no S on the daylight savings, even though I want to put it there. But that is a little over a month away. St. Patrick's Day is 41 days away. And then spring, the season, will start in about 44 days. If you're talking meteorological spring, it'll begin in a little less than a month on March 1st. Some people want it to come sooner, so maybe they're with me in believing Unadilla Billy here in Nebraska, who did not see her shadow, and hints at an early spring. And these are spring-like temperatures, really, to talk about. Over the next 5 days, you are significantly warmer already talking about Thursday and the forecast with mild and breezy conditions. We'll break that down for you here in a second, but a high of 58 degrees. We'll keep some of that wind on Friday as high temperatures will slide back just a bit, but still remain above average and closer to 50 degrees into the early portions of the weekend. And then around more widespread 60s, if not middle 60s, by the end of the weekend and into Monday if you don't see the warmer weather already tomorrow. But the reason this has been going, I'll stop this and actually show you here as of tonight. There's this upper level ridge, those orange colors over the west coast that has been building off to our east. And really that warmer air mass over Alberta and British Columbia in Canada is what's going to be brought into our area tomorrow, and we'll see this pattern support the warmer temperatures into Thursday, Friday. A broad ridge stretches out over much of the United States going into early next week, and then it'll start to break down, I think, with that troughing feature that you see on the west coast in the blues, indicating maybe a breakdown toward some wetter days, or at least a chance of precipitation going into the middle, if not closer to the end of next week around Wednesday and Thursday. So that's what we're looking at over the next week or so. Your weather almanac for today does show us that we had seasonal temperatures in the middle 30s today. Our average high is 37. We were at 36. The temperature range throughout the day did not change all that much. We had a low of 29. We did see 1/100th of an inch of precipitation at the Lincoln Airport. But this is a look at your temperature trend over the last 24 hours and really not budging all that much in any direction throughout the last 24 hours. In fact, 29 degrees happened at about 1 a.m. this morning. We may get a little bit colder than that as we head toward midnight tonight, as some of these clouds kind of break apart into the day tomorrow, especially by tomorrow morning, because we were unable to shake a lot of that cloud cover today. We thought we might clear through the afternoon and see some clearing by the evening, but by sundown, I think Lincoln still had a lot of cloud cover overhead, and you can see the difference in the temperatures. The sharp cutoff really from eastern Nebraska toward western Nebraska in the 30s versus the 50s. 36 here in Lincoln, but 51 in Lexington, 54 in North Platte and Imperial, with all of us warming as we get into tomorrow. Did throw the wiper blade transition on there because it was enough rain and enough drizzle today to need the windshield wipers at times, especially, behind a car in front of you. But Lincoln managed to record 1/100th of an inch, as did Beatrice, Norfolk, Broken Bow. North Platte didn't quite. So maybe almost a handful of locations. Not everyone really saw much precipitation over the last 24 hours, but it was enough to make kind of a misty mess for the middle of this week. As you look overhead at especially our Lincoln Skyview camera, you can certainly see the cloud deck is still out there. So we are not going to change these temperatures much until we can lose some of that cloud cover, as we believe it should erode away late tonight. It has been a very gradual process for us in eastern Nebraska, waiting, and yet we're still waiting as I join you here for our evening stream for the middle of this week. Winds are about 5 miles per hour here in Lincoln. That northwest breeze will pick up a little bit into tomorrow, and I'll show you that in the forecast as we go through kind of your future conditions after wrapping up some of our current conditions out there on Wednesday. But we are slipping below freezing. A lot of us are around 30 degrees here in town. Across southeast Nebraska, you're looking at some already down into the lower 20s. Stromsburg is at 24 degrees, 25 in York as well as Fullerton. You've got some still hanging around freezing in Hastings, Superior, and Auburn. But as I zoom out across the state, down to 30 or 23 in Broken Bow, still some 40s in Chadron and McCook. So not a bad evening out that way with rather light winds. Again, a west to northwest wind in southeast Nebraska, but a lot of us across the state have a calm, if not a southerly breeze under 10 miles per hour. So the wind chill doesn't feel all that bad. Maybe at times some of those spots are feeling more seasonal in the upper teens as of 8:10 tonight. There is a look at the ever so slowly edge of clearing we have been waiting on here in Lincoln, and it is just now making it to the edge of Lancaster County. This has been quite the game today. It did really kind of ruin our forecast from what we had yesterday by a couple degrees. I think we had a high of 38, but we only got to 36 today. So again, we should see some clearing from that cloud cover. And then we do have some other clouds kind of moving in from the north, but they'll be no big deal and kind of, as you can see with time here tonight, fading away. And we should see a lot more sunshine as we're waking up tomorrow. Throughout the day on Thursday, looking rather good. This is 3 o'clock tomorrow. So if you've been waiting on the sunshine to come back, it does come back for much of the day tomorrow. But then another front is going to come through, reinforce another northerly breeze on Friday, and we may see partly to mostly cloudy skies for much of eastern Nebraska. This may be overdoing it. This is something we're going to have to keep an eye on throughout tomorrow to see how models are kind of handling the cloud cover, because there have been several solutions that look different to me. But partly to mostly cloudy is what I'd bet on for Friday for now, looking at model solutions. But your Schaefer's Lincoln forecast for this evening has us down to 24 degrees by midnight, so that would actually be your low temperature for the entirety of today, since we did only drop down to about 29 degrees this morning. Partly cloudy, chilly. By tomorrow morning, still around freezing with a northwest breeze already at 13 miles per hour here in the capital city. And then by tomorrow afternoon, warming up to the upper 50s. Again, upper 30s is where we should be. So this is going to be a significant warm-up from where we've been over the past couple of days. It will be breezy, though, at times. I think we'll see wind gusts topping out around 25, maybe 30 miles per hour early on in the afternoon. But you will see those winds relax into tomorrow evening. We may have a little bit more of a breeze coming back on Friday morning, though, as well. So keep that in mind as you're getting ready for each of the next couple mornings. Your Lincoln planner for tomorrow shows temperatures steadily warming from about freezing to almost 60 degrees. I am so excited tomorrow, I think, to get out and enjoy maybe a morning walk and get some of those things in. I'll show you the low temperatures across the state tonight. Especially in the Sandhills, do not look bad in the 30s, but a lot of us in central and eastern Nebraska will be in the upper, if not middle 20s, as the day is starting out for Thursday, or Friday Eve, as I like to call it. High temperatures tomorrow, widespread 50s and 60s, if not close to 70 degrees, I think, in a couple spots in southwest Nebraska. Further breaking down the forecast across southeast Nebraska, I wanted to give you a closer view of where we are forecasting 60 degrees. Seward, you're one of them. Much of the Tri-City should get into the lower 60s tomorrow, maybe even up to 65 degrees in Superior, closer to the Kansas border. But your 7-day forecast does show a little cooling trend, if you can call it that. I'm not going to complain by any means because we'll still be above average going into Friday and Saturday, but we will have a cooler air mass move in that is originating from more of the Manitoba and Saskatchewan parts of Canada that have been cooler rather than the warmer portions of Canada out to our west being pulled into our region by tomorrow. So that's why the temperatures cool a little bit. We keep a northerly breeze on Friday, but still should be nice and warm, I think, especially by the second part of the weekend into early next week. As you look at the 10-day forecast, the days that peak with warmest temperatures over that period that takes us up through Valentine's Day would be tomorrow and then especially Sunday and Monday. So I don't think the 60s are as widespread tomorrow as they really will be by Sunday and Monday. We do cool a little bit toward the middle of next week, but still unseasonably warm in the upper 40s, and I think we'll even take those temperatures. When we're talking about February is usually our snowiest month. And then, if you saw the hint of it on the 7-day, Monday will be coming into record territory, within a few degrees at least. Our forecast right now is at 65 degrees. Our average high by then is at 39 degrees, so quite the difference there. But the record high for Monday, February 9th, you have to go back to 1954 when we got up to 68 degrees. So we'll see if we can come close, maybe by the early next week, or stay tuned, of course, to Brad through the end of this week and Carmelo over the weekend to see where that forecast kind of ends up as we get closer to Monday. Also wanted to point out, as we talk about these records and record highs and just records in general, we did have quite this busy start to the year in terms of setting new records here in Lincoln. We set at least four. 3 record highs in early January, and then a record precipitation really a record rainfall event on January 8th when we got 3/10 of an inch all in one day. That was quite something. And I think if that would have fell as all snow, then we would have had really a snowfall total for the month of January closer to where it should have been on average. But expanding this view now to the 10-day forecast across the state, you'll see some are hinting at 70 degrees, especially by Monday around North Platte, 72 in McCook by then, before we will cool a little bit more over the course of next week. So it's nice to know that some of the warmer weather is going to fall on our weekend days to get out and enjoy some more festivities. Really looking at some of this weather. In fact, as I'm talking to you, I've been meaning to go with my friends up to Omaha to see the Lawrenson Gardens, and I think they have that moving or rotating. I don't know if it's there for very long, but it's trolls. They're trolls made out of wood. I think I first saw this sculpture out in Breckenridge in Colorado, and now some of them are in Omaha. I've been meaning to see those with some friends, and Lawrenson Gardens is always a good time. So it would be nice with some spring-like temperatures by the end of this weekend. So I might have to hit them up for that, see if they're down. As for your precipitation chances during the same time frame, not great over the weekend, maybe 10% here and there, really not adding up to anything meaningful. But then we'll have at least a 20% chance, I think, starting Wednesday of next week into Thursday, maybe carrying over into the end of the week. But your 8 to 14-day precipitation outlook continues to look at chances toward above average precipitation. Again, we're in that lighter shade, which would mean a 33 to 40% chance of above average precipitation during this time frame, and still leaning quite warm. So with any chance at moisture next week, I think we will be warm enough for the main precipitation type to actually be rain. We will be keeping an eye on that, but anything that we saw, even like the past couple of days, has been drizzle. It should be warm enough to make it to the ground, I would believe, as rain. But we just have a 20% chance by next Wednesday, so kind of keep that in mind. One thing we haven't done today is I'm working to kind of get an idea of how many tools I really have at my disposal. We also have, or we did have, the Lincoln Transportation and Utilities camera network able to be brought up on our computer. We used to have this built into our Max graphics system, but I don't think it works anymore. So we might just have to hardwire it with this kind of tool I'm using right now. But we can bounce around the city, and I think this will be something I'll look forward to using when we need to know the road conditions as snow's coming down or complicated precipitation. But after a drizzly day like today, it's nice as I click around town. This is in southwestern portions of Nebraska, or in Lincoln, sorry. Let's see, 33rd and Nebraska Parkway. It's nice to see that the roads have dried up, so any evening plans look to be fairly good no matter where you're at. It's easy going. And a new thing, I think, with Lincoln Transportation and Utilities, these cameras used to be screenshots every couple seconds, so they weren't smooth camera feeds like they are now. So we are really excited to have access to that from LTU. So as you take a look at that, again, things are looking pretty good. I'll bring you back to the 7-day forecast just to kind of touch on those numbers once again. Again, those morning lows are really maybe below freezing for Saturday morning and Sunday morning, but then we're warmer than that for Monday and Tuesday, so should be comfortable, especially early next week, and knowing we're quite mild for our Monday. So keep that in mind. One thing I haven't touched on really, sorry, I was not meant to bring that up, but as we've been talking about the warmer weather, is those that are familiar with living by the river, the Platte River, things like that. When we warm up like this and we've seen ice chunks within the river, warming temperatures can lead to those ice chunks breaking up more, and it can lead to potential ice jams down the road. So I've heard word from the National Weather Service that we should keep an eye on some of those ice jam prone areas maybe. So just keep that in mind if that does sound like you and you've dealt with that in the past. If not, it's probably not something to worry about for you, especially not us here in Lincoln, but I just wanted to put that out there. But appreciate everyone joining me this evening. We'll do this again tomorrow evening, and I know we have a few more school visits to share with you through the end of this week, so we'll be happy to do that as well. But until then, hope everyone enjoys the warmer weather as we bounce toward the upper 50s for a high in Lincoln on your Thursday.
1011 News is everywhere. Download our smart TV apps and follow us on social media at 1011 News.